Especially on such short notice. Very serious situation. First, I want to thank our sheriff, chief law enforcement officer of our parish, Sheriff Garber. So thank you for being here with us. We have our newly elected district attorney, Don Landry. Thank you also for being here. And we have also our chief of police, Lafayette Police Department, Chief Thomas Glover. So today we're going to talk about a situation that, quite frankly, creating a public hazard and complicating efforts to help people that are actually in need. So at this time, what I'd like to do is call Chief Glover to give us a background of the situation.
Good afternoon and thank you. I want to thank the fellow law enforcement officers on the podium with me, as well as the chief of the city of Lafayette, the mayor, president, Mr. Guillory. The Lafayette Police Department is committed to maintaining the protection of our citizens and of their property. If we are to continue to be successful in this, we must vigorously investigate any activities that threaten our citizens. One such activity is the sale of illegal drugs. Approximately 3 months ago, the Lafayette Police Department received information regarding the distribution of heroin, fentanyl, and methamphetamine in the city of Lafayette. The information resulted in the Lafayette Police Department's narcotics agents initiating an operation to identify, investigate, and prosecute those individuals involved with these heinous crimes. Additional information surfaced that some of these people selling the very potent and poisonous drugs were posing as subjects believed to be without homes or places to stay by purporting themselves as panhandlers. During the course of the investigation, undercover agents presented themselves in a manner that resulted in individuals offering to sell them illegal drugs. The areas of concern included most of the high-profile areas and most of the populous locations in the city of Lafayette. The main focus was on those areas that had experienced open-air drug sales previously. During the course of the operation, the Lafayette narcotics officers built cases on a number of suspects, all of whom at the present time have warrants for their arrest, and we are actively seeking to arrest those subjects. At no time during this operation did any of our narcotics officers ever single out a focus on any individual because of their appearance or a preconceived profile. Our only mission was to put a stop to the sale of dangerous drugs. However, the investigation yielded 33 cases of illegal drug sales with 26 different suspects, all who were either panhandling or pretending to be indigent subjects in need. At the beginning of this operation, a major supplier of those dangerous drugs, fentanyl, methamphetamine, and heroin in the city of Lafayette, was arrested and placed in jail on prior narcotics warrants. 14 of the 26 individuals, and we're actively seeking to arrest those individuals at this time, were believed to have gotten their supply of illegal narcotics from this single individual who at this moment is still in jail. Some of these individuals may fit the category of being people who feed their addiction or who support their addiction through the sale and distribution of illegal drugs, deadly drugs, for a profit. During the investigation, one of our own narcotics agents was actually contaminated by what is believed to have been fentanyl while he was engaged in his undercover operations. This sends a signal to us as citizens in Lafayette the dangers that are posed when we stop, roll our window down, or allow someone to approach us, especially if we have other passengers or children in the vehicles. The Lafayette Police Department's main goal, and I think we succeeded in it, was to disrupt the flow of illegal and deadly drugs into our community, make sure we protect those who are vulnerable, and to identify any individual who illegally supplies narcotics for profit in our great city. The ultimate removal of 26 suspected drug dealers posing as people who needed homes or needed social help means that this operation was a success. Once we take all these suspects into custody, if there's an occasion where they come across as being addicts or we get credible information, we are prepared to offer access to local and state outreach organizations that can assist in rehabilitating them and presenting them with coping skills. That is the conclusion of the statement I'd like to make. I'm open for questions. I do want to say that the sheriff of Lafayette supported us 100% on this. The DA is going to be following up with prosecution of some of these individuals, and we want the people of Lafayette to know that we're doing everything to keep them safe.
So right now there's only 26 warrants, but how many arrests?
As of now, we've only arrested 2 of the 26. We're actively seeking.
Chief Glover, you mentioned this operation was happening in multiple populous areas around town. Can you elaborate on where kind of the focus was?
Not to give too much information away because our sources and methods are normally kept close intact, but any area that's close to the interstates where there are major intersections where people exit at, the major shopping veins, like Ambassador Caffrey and Johnson, places like that.
You mentioned that an officer was contaminated. Could you elaborate on what that means?
Well, fentanyl is a very dangerous drug. It can actually cause death on the first use. We're trained in our police training, if you get anywhere close to it, don't touch it, don't put it on your face. And in this instance, the officer was making a purchase as part of his duties, and a strong gust of wind came and blew some of the fentanyl into his face, and we had to immediately remove him and take him to the emergency room to be treated. And I mention that because that's a possibility. Anytime you stop and let your window down and reach your hand out and make contact with someone who may possibly contribute to contamination, then it's a possibility you could injure or have someone in the car with you that get in trouble with this, or maybe even a kid or a child.
How many officers in your department and in partners were involved in this operation?
None of those officers are here, and for purposes of making sure that we protect our identity, I won't say how many are there, but we have a number of officers that are assigned to our narcotics undercover operations, and I would not like to disclose that.
I know that you recently assumed leadership of the department. Is there anything new or different that was done in this investigation, if you're able to elaborate on that?
Well, the investigation was kept very close to people at the top level in the city administration as well as the police department. Initially, only 3 people in the entire city knew about it, and then we obviously had to bring in the commander of the CID division and the narcotics division. But at this time, probably 11 people in the entire police department out of over 300 are aware of it or know about it.
Now, is this the reasoning for all those panhandling signs that we've been seeing around the city?
The panhandling signs are there because panhandling, according to various state laws, is illegal, but there is a great connection between those people posing as panhandling and peddling those drugs. And for me as a police chief, I went out of my way to make sure that anytime we had a panhandler, we made sure that they were dealt with and not connected to drug sales. So in a roundabout way, I guess I can say that as a city, Lafayette is very generous. I'll say that. That's been repeated ever since I've been here and I've seen it. We have other organizations out there that provide great help for people who are needy. One of the things that I thought was interesting during this process is that the people that we were dealing with, these 26 individuals, some of them would argue over who's going to work a corner. They would make deals about, I'll take it from 8 to noon and you take it from 1 to 5. They'd make $400 or $500 a shift. And so what we as good citizens see as being good Samaritans, a lot of times our kindness and generosity was being taken for granted, and people are actually peddling drugs from the side of the street or side of the roadway.
Now, these suspects, are they Acadiana residents, or are they coming in from out of state? Does it seem like the majority are?
They are from all over this area as well as other areas. We've identified some from the New Orleans and Lake Charles area, but we don't have a lot of information at this time about where they resided, but we have good names on them. We have warrants. All of the warrants have been supported by affidavits in criminal acts, and we are actively seeking the suspects at this time.
What's the age range, would you say?
I can't be accurate on that, but all of them appear to be in the mid-20s to probably as old as late 40s, early 50s.
And no minors that you know of?
We do not at this time have any information that someone was below the age of adulthood.
Mentioning, you said officers would attempt purchases to investigate this. Were there any drugs seized in this operation yet?
You know, we have a lot of evidence, but we have not ran any raids. We have lots of evidence.
Mentioning this kind of network that y'all have been investigating, could you put it in context of, I guess, the drug scene in the city? What's your perspective on your perception of this group?
Well, I think it's appalling that people would take advantage of the kindness of the citizens here and purport to be homeless or indigent people in need, and then utilize the opportunity to sell drugs. The use of illegal drugs throughout this country is a big scourge on society. Most of the crime that you see is connected, a lot of it is connected to drug use. In fact, in the city of Lafayette, if we are going to be similar to some of the other cities, about 25% of the crime that occurs in the city overall is connected to the use or distribution of drugs. And so it is a violent scourge on our society, and we're going to do everything we can to try to erase it.
You mentioned that people would divide up corners. How sophisticated was this network?
It's making opportunity for them either way they go. They're going to make money from the generous people who stop to give, and they're going to make money by selling their drugs. And that's why we are stressing that you please do not stop to give money to panhandlers on the side of the road, because you could be giving it to one of the social agencies here in Lafayette. Millions of dollars a year come into this community either through aids and grants or private donations to help situations like this, and we encourage people to do that rather than supporting a possible drug cartel.
No, brother. Thank you. And again, thank you to Chief Glover for his leadership. Thank you to our brave law enforcement officers, Lafayette Police Department, Sheriff's Department, all of our brave agencies in this region. We appreciate the collaborative effort. We appreciate the community, or the communication, and most of all, we appreciate your sacrifice, not only yours, but your family as well. So thank you guys for being here with us. God bless you, and may God continue to bless Lafayette. Thank you so much.